Lewis Hamilton is continuing his fight for diversity in Formula One, and he announced that he looks to use his platform to bring about real change in the sport. Lewis Hamilton hopes to see some real progression in Formula One as he continues his fight for more diversity in the paddock, a cause he has been championing throughout his racing career. Hamilton sat down with Naomi Schiff ahead of the opening race in Bahrain, in which he claimed a surprise podium finish after Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez suffered engine problems, clearing the way for the Mercedes driver and new teammate, George Russell, to come home in third and fourth. Although still ambitious to win an 8th world championship, Hamilton insists there is more that motivates him than just his own success on the track, and his strive for more diversity in the sport drives him to ensure that the big conversations are happening. Speaking about his goals for Formula One in the future, he said, "That's my role here, I think, to continue to hold these conversations, sit with Stefano, and say, what are you doing and how can we work together?" It goes back to bringing people on the journey rather than calling people out, and unfortunately, it takes a lot of yapping, but I think people seem more keen to be on the journey together, and they empathize with it more and say, yes, we can do a better job. I've got this platform, and I am able to apply pressure in an uncomfortable way sometimes, but also it is a real opportunity to spark the change, and that for me is more rewarding than any championship. My goal is that in the next 5, 10 years, you're looking back at the sport and I am watching TV, hopefully with my kids, and they see some young women engineers and mechanics, and they'll know there is an opportunity. Following last season's dramatic final race in Abu Dhabi, Hamilton took time off social media and afterwards begun to reflect on what his legacy will be in the sport and how these platforms can help him build it. He said, "When I was younger and first getting into social media, it was very much about building up your platform, because obviously the more followers you have, the more influence you have. Then as I started getting older, realizing that when I press this button, it's coming up on other people's phones. What do I want that post to say?" I was like, I want to take a step back. I want to reevaluate my life, to reevaluate where I am, and I came to the realization that I'm not going to let that define my career. And it's one moment, but there's going to be other great moments moving forward. I think as I started getting older, I started thinking I am winning these championships, but what does it really mean? And I realized that these championships are very rewarding personally, but they're not changing anything. You have another credit to your name, but it doesn't change the world. It doesn't change the fact we still have wars. We still have racial injustice. There are still people being abused. There are all sorts of things out there. So what are we going to use this medium for? What are we going to use this platform for? I guess I really discovered my purpose, and it's not just being a racing driver. So far this season, the 7-time world champion and his team have been struggling to find a balance for their car. There is no doubt that Mercedes has been off the pace of Ferrari and Red Bull. Red Bull's Max Verstappen secured a big win at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and so far this season, both Red Bull and Ferrari have caught the eye of Formula One fans. Even though we're only 2 races into the new season, it's fair to say that Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton has really struggled. Hamilton's 10th place finish over the weekend meant that this season has been his worst start since 2009, where he only got 1 point from the opening 2 races while driving for McLaren. As of right now, the Brit sits 5th in the standings with just 2 points, and despite 1 podium finish, he is already playing catch-up. The particular incident that almost ruined his chances of racing again came in Abu Dhabi, and afterwards the Mercedes drivers suggested that some stewards tend to take more of a keen liking to certain drivers. On taking his stand, Lewis Hamilton called on Formula One to ensure that there are unbiased stewards making decisions this season, suggesting that some are very good friends with other drivers and take more of a liking to them. The 7-time world champion's comments come when decision-making in the sport was crucial to the sustenance of the sport, with Hamilton having been controversially beaten to the title by Max Verstappen in Abu Dhabi at the end of a 2021 season, where many stewards' verdicts were questioned. Hamilton was asked on the first day of preseason testing on how the new structure may help consistency in decision-making, to which he replied, "We need to make sure we have non-biased stewards too. Racing drivers, some are very good friends with certain individuals, some travel with certain individuals, and tend to take more of a keen liking to some of them. I think we need people who have no bias, are super central when it comes to making decisions." Responding to Hamilton's claim that Formula One stewards are biased, an FIA spokesperson said, "The FIA is proud of its global stewarding pathway that connects and develops the most talented stewards from across motorsport. This has resulted in a strong, independent, and experienced group of officials who carry out their work with impartiality and the utmost professionalism." It is unclear who Hamilton is referring to with his comments in terms of drivers or stewards, and soon after his remarks, the Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff stressed that he didn't think there was any officiating bias. Wolff said, "I think we need professionalism in stewards' room. I don't think there is a conscious bias, to be honest. They're intelligent people." Red Bull boss Christian Horner added, "I would agree with Toto that I don't think there's an intended bias. I'm not aware of any stewards traveling with drivers to races. In Mohammed, we have a new president who is looking to bolster the structure and bring in an equivalent of a VAR, and I think giving a better infrastructure for clearer decisions with clearer regulations is something that should be strived for. But I certainly don't think there was any bias from any stewards during the last seasons." However, Toto Wolff did call for more consistency. He said, "Most important, whether we talk about the race direction, the support that they will have back at base, or the stewards, there needs to be a standard. This is what we deserve, and this is what everybody expects, and I think there are some very good people that we can build upon." Most important, and we have all talked about it last year, was the topic of inconsistency. There shouldn't be a lot of room to interpret the rules. There shouldn't be a lot of leniency depending on what the potential outcome might be. But the rules are the rules, and I think as everything is being restructured, I have faith in Mohammed that going forward, we will optimize all these structures. On another note, on the difference he wants to make in the world through Formula One, Hamilton added, "I want to see more women in the stewards' room. I don't think we have many. I think last year it was maybe one or two. It would be awesome for them to have a male and a female as the two race directors that they're talking about doing. I think that's a great way of promoting diversity too." The 7-time world champion has never been shy about what he wants and has been advocating changes in Formula One and the world. If you enjoyed the video, like and share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notifications bell to turn on post notifications.